Hello, everybody. Sorry for the bad lighting quality. It's a cloudy day here in Hanoi. Here is the 2-minute version, I promise you almost, of something about the individual oral for IB Year 1 students. So this is the sort of condensed thing, like the basics, not the rules, but sort of things that I see that people are worried about. Number one, find a global issue that you see occurring in the different works you study. So maybe the first work you read, maybe your teacher pointed some things out, or maybe you found something on your own, but something you find is probably more meaningful to you, and you're going to start to see it creeping into other works and say, wait a minute, I've noticed this. I want to talk about it. I want to make a case for how these works that I've studied grapple with, engage with, reflect, refract an issue that concerns people. Two, it doesn't have to be the most important aspect of the work. It doesn't have to be the only thing the work is about. It's something that occurs in it. It's something that somehow comes up. So I think that every work you study has about 1 million global issues. Three, it can be almost anything, this global issue. That it's something that concerns people, that people deal with across cultures, across places. It's not this particular little problem of a single relationship or a single place, but it's something that humans are concerned with. And take a look at those categories, talk to your teacher, and you'll see that almost anything can fit. A lot of people worry about how to make it more specific, this and that. Have your teacher help you with that. But I would say that there's quite a bit of leeway there. Four, it's kind of like an essay. It's like you're making a point, how is this global issue reflected in or shown in the works that I've studied? It's kind of like an essay question. So think of your oral presentation as an essay. It does not have to compare and contrast. I think it's natural that it does. As I'm talking, I would probably say in a different way, similarly, but it doesn't have to. It can be this part, this work, this work. It is not a commentary on the passages you bring in. Those are to help you, to support you. Think of them as if you were writing an essay, you have quotations and passages that you use as support in an essay. This is kind of like your best one. Is it the most important one in the work? Probably, maybe not. But what it is, it's important to you and provides a good example. This is your support for your discussion. It gives you something to hold on to talk about things like literary features because you've got it in front of you. We designed it so this passage would be support, not an extra burden. So how should you divide your time? Probably 50-50 or so between the passage and the work as a whole. You're talking about the issue in the work. Sometimes it runs throughout the whole thing, so you've got a lot to handle quickly, and then you go to the passage. Also, keep in mind that I think one of the hardest things is timing, so balance it well, about 5 minutes on each work. Maybe start with a little bit of, this is what my global issue is, then you get into the global issue in that work, and then you start to focus in on the passage, then you move to the next work. I would say that the other thing that you have to worry about, the only other thing you have to worry about is if you're in language and literature and you're doing a non-literary text like an advertisement or an editorial, you do have to refer to the body of work as a whole. Or in literature, if you're doing a single poem, you do have to refer to the work, the other poems of that author. So what you have to do, though, is they might not deal with your issue. So then you're going to have to relate them in terms of style or approach of the author or somehow how that work has bearing on your discussion. I would say style is probably the most important way to do it. So that's about it. The idea was really to allow you to find something as you took the course that you held on to. Keep these things in your learner portfolio. Take notes on them. Find something and you're like, hey, I noticed this, and now I noticed it again, and now I noticed it again. Even if your classmates didn't notice it, even if your teacher didn't notice it, this is perfect because you noticed it and you can talk about how that global issue is reflected in dealt with in the works you've studied. This is an oral presentation about works and how these works deal with issues or concerns or ideas that we're concerned with. Every work is about something. You're talking about how these works are about this thing. All right, a little bit shorter. Thanks.